Evident.
Evident.
It was evident that she was unhappy.
It soon became evident that she was seriously ill. It was clearly evident that the company was in financial difficulties.
It was evident to me that he was not telling the truth.
The growing popularity of the subject is evident in the number of students wanting to study it.
Bob ate his lunch with evident enjoyment.
Evidential. Evidential.
All jury members should have a copy of the evidential data. All jury members should have a copy of the evidential data.
Evidently.
Evidently.
She was evidently a heavy smoker. He was evidently in pain.
She was evidently upset by what she saw.
Evidently, the builders had finished and gone home early.
He was evidently a rude, unpleasant child.
Evidently, the local authority are planning to close the school. Evidently, the local authority are planning to close the school.
Evil.
Evil.
An evil dictator, responsible for the death of millions.
His evil deeds. They condemned slavery as evil.
An evil smell.
A puddle of evil black liquid. A puddle of evil black liquid. A puddle of evil black liquid.
Evil spirits.
An evil spell.
He claimed to have the power of the evil eye. Don't delay, you're only putting off the evil hour.
Jeff grinned evilly as he picked up the phone. Jeff grinned evilly as he picked up the phone.
She wanted to protect her children from the evils of the outside world.
Poverty is one of the greatest social evils of our time.
The evils of capitalism.
There is too much evil in the world. The eternal struggle between good and evil.
Evildoer.
Evildoer.
Evil-minded.
Evil-minded.
An evil-minded dictator.
Evince.
Evince.
She evinced no surprise at seeing them together. She evinced no surprise at seeing them together.
Eviscerate.
Eviscerate.
Evocative.
Evocative.
A picture that is wonderfully evocative of a hot summer's day. A picture that is wonderfully evocative of a hot summer's day.
Evocative music.
Evoke.
Evoke.
The photographs evoked strong memories of our holidays in France. The photographs evoked strong memories of our holidays in France.
His appearance is bound to evoke sympathy. His appearance is bound to evoke sympathy. Her speech evoked a hostile response. Her speech evoked a hostile response.
The poem is an evocation of lost love.
Evolution.
Evolution.
The evolution of mammals.
The theory of evolution.
The evolution of the computer.
Evolutionary.
Evolutionary.
The evolutionary development of birds.
Some scientists have rejected evolutionary theory.
He is in favour of gradual evolutionary social change. He is in favour of gradual evolutionary social change.
Evolve.
Evolve.
Fish evolved from prehistoric sea creatures. Fish evolved from prehistoric sea creatures.
Animals have evolved camouflage to protect themselves from predators.
The school has evolved its own style of teaching.
Businesses need to evolve rapidly.
The idea evolved out of work done by British scientists. The idea evolved out of work done by British scientists.
The group gradually evolved into a political party.
E-voting.
E-voting.
You.
You.
Ewer.
Ewer.
Ew.
Ew. She kissed him. Ew. X.
X.
I bumped into my ex in town.
X.
X.
His ex-wife.
An ex-England cricketer.
Exacerbate.
Exacerbate.
The recession has exacerbated this problem. I don't want to exacerbate the situation.
Exact.
Exact.
Police are still investigating the exact cause of the accident.
What were his exact words? The timing had to be exact. The exact location of the hostages is unknown.
I know her birthday's in July, but I can't remember the exact date.
It's not an exact copy, but most people wouldn't notice the difference.
Some concepts in Chinese medicine have no exact equivalent in Western medicine. Some concepts in Chinese medicine have no exact equivalent in Western medicine. She has worked at the bank for many years, 9 to be exact.
The exact colour I was looking for.
He came into the room at the exact moment I mentioned his name. That's the exact same thing my dad said.
Jean is the exact opposite of her little sister.
Predicting the weather is not an exact science. Predicting the weather is not an exact science.
I exacted a promise from Roz that she wouldn't say a word.
Leonard was determined to exact revenge on his wife's killer.
The years of conflict have exacted a heavy price. Exacting.
Exacting.
She was an exacting woman to work for. She was an exacting woman to work for. He could never live up to his father's exacting standards. He could never live up to his father's exacting standards.
Exactitude.
Exactitude.
Exactly.
Exactly.
It's exactly 5:30. The figures may not be exactly right, but they're close enough. I can't remember exactly what she said.
It's a tragic situation, and no one will ever know exactly what happened.
Where exactly did you stay in Portugal?
That's exactly what we've been trying to tell you.
It's exactly the kind of work I've been looking for.
She tries to be exactly like her older sister.
Kevin's teachers saw him as quiet and serious, but with his friends he was exactly the opposite.
The two candidates responded to the question in exactly the same way. The two candidates responded to the question in exactly the same way.
You hate Lee, don't you? Not exactly. I just think he's a bit annoying, that's all. I wouldn't bother asking Dave. He's not exactly Einstein. So you think we should sell the house? Exactly.
Exaggerate.
Exaggerate.
I couldn't sleep for 3 days. I'm not exaggerating.
It's difficult to exaggerate the importance of sleep.
Exaggerated.
Exaggerated.
The revenue figures may be slightly exaggerated.
The danger had been greatly exaggerated.
An exaggerated sigh.
He made an exaggerated bow.
He spoke with an exaggerated New York accent.
Exaggeration.
Exaggeration.
It would be an exaggeration to say that we were close friends. It is no exaggeration to say that everyone will be affected by the new policy. The situation can be described without exaggeration as disastrous.
That sounds like a slight exaggeration.
Exalt.
Exalt.
Exalt ye the Lord.
Exaltation.
Exaltation.
Exalted.
Exalted.
I felt shy in such exalted company.
Exam.
Exam.
At the end of each level, there's an exam.
How did you do in your exams?
Do not open your exams until I tell you. An eye exam.
Examination.
Examination.
The examination results will be announced in September.
He's already taken the entrance examination.
A detailed examination of population statistics.
The proposals are still under examination. The issues need further examination.
On closer examination, the vases were seen to be cracked.
All patients had a complete physical examination.
A post-mortem examination showed that he died from head injuries.
Examine.
Examine.
A team of divers was sent down to examine the wreck. Hegel's philosophy will be examined in detail in Chapter 4. Hegel's philosophy will be examined in detail in Chapter 4. In the course, we will examine how and why Spain became a democracy in 1931. The police will have to examine the weapon for fingerprints.
You will be examined on American history.
Examiner.
Examiner.
Example.
Example.
Can anyone give me an example of a transitive verb?
Many countries, for example Mexico and Japan, have a lot of earthquakes.
Car prices can vary a lot. For example, in Belgium, the VW Golf costs $1,000 less than in Britain. Car prices can vary a lot. For example, in Belgium, the VW Golf costs $1,000 less than in Britain.
Her courage is an example to us all.
Parents should set an example for their children.
I suggest you follow Rosie's example and start doing regular exercise.
The team captain leads by example. She's a shining example of what a mother should be.
Exasperate.
Exasperate.
It exasperates me to hear comments like that. It exasperates me to hear comments like that.
Exasperated.
Exasperated.
He was becoming exasperated with the child.
An exasperated look.
Exasperating.
Exasperating.
You have this exasperating habit of never looking at me. You have this exasperating habit of never looking at me.
Exasperation.
Exasperation.
Carol sighed in exasperation. Excavate.
Excavate.
Schliemann excavated the ancient city of Troy. Excavator.
Excavator.
Exceed.
Exceed.
Working hours must not exceed 42 hours a week.
His performance exceeded our expectations.
He was fined for exceeding the speed limit.
The riot police had exceeded their authority. The riot police had exceeded their authority.
Exceedingly.
Exceedingly.
Thank you. You've been exceedingly kind.
Excel.
Excel.
Rick has always excelled at foreign languages.
You have excelled yourself with the new exhibition. Excellence.
Excellence.
The excellence of the performance.
The university's reputation for excellence.
Centres of academic excellence.
Excellency.
Excellency.
His Excellency, the Spanish Ambassador.
Excellent.
Excellent.
An excellent suggestion.
His car is in excellent condition.
Second-hand computers can be excellent value.
I'll bring the books over tonight. Excellent.
Except.
Except.
The office is open every day except Sundays.
You can have any of the cakes except this one.
Everyone went except for Scott and Dan. She felt fine except for being a little tired. Clarissa could think of nothing to say except that she was so sorry.
Staff are not permitted to make personal phone calls except in an emergency.
Benson kept the studio locked except when he was working there.
She had nothing to do except spend money.
He wouldn't talk about work except to say that he was busy. Liz would have run, except that she didn't want to appear to be in a hurry. Liz would have run, except that she didn't want to appear to be in a hurry.
I have earrings just like those, except they're blue.
A date book would make a great gift, except that a lot of people already have one.
High technology equipment would be accepted from any trade agreement.
Accepted.
Accepted.
History accepted. Peter has made good progress in all subjects this term. History accepted. Peter has made good progress in all subjects this term.
Accepting.
Accepting.
O'Rourke answered all the questions, excepting the last one.
Exception.
Exception.
It's been cold, but today's an exception.
We all laughed, with the exception of Maggie.
Each plant without exception contains some kind of salt. With one or two notable exceptions, there are few women conductors.
With a few minor exceptions, the new edition is much like the previous one. The law applies to all EU countries. Britain is no exception. We don't usually accept checks, but for you we'll make an exception. We don't usually accept checks, but for you we'll make an exception. We don't usually accept checks, but for you we'll make an exception.
The spelling of this word is an interesting exception to the rule.
Successful two-career couples are still the exception, not the rule.
Most people here are very dedicated. I'm afraid Ria's the exception that proves the rule.
Tom took great exception to my remark about Americans.
Exceptional.
Exceptional.
An exceptional student.
Exceptional bravery.
This is an exceptional case. I've never seen anything like it before.
Promotion in the first year is only given in exceptional circumstances.
Exceptionally.
Exceptionally.
She defended her position exceptionally well.
An exceptionally talented player.
Excerpt.
Excerpt.
An excerpt of the speech appeared in the Sunday paper.
Excess.
Excess.
After you apply the oil, wait 20 minutes before wiping off any excess.
It was an excess of enthusiasm that caused the problem.
The car reached speeds in excess of 100 miles per hour. The car reached speeds in excess of 100 miles per hour.
Drinking is okay as long as you don't do it to excess.
Government was unable to curb the excesses of the secret police. Government was unable to curb the excesses of the secret police.
The worst excesses of journalism.
A long sermon against the dangers of excess.
Excess.
Cut any excess fat from the meat.
Excessive.
Excessive.
His excessive drinking.
$15 for 2 beers seems a little excessive.
Excessively high taxes.
Exchange.
Exchange.
An exchange of political prisoners.
I've offered to paint the kitchen in exchange for a week's accommodation. 4 of my cassettes for your Madonna CD is a fair exchange.
A quiet exchange between the judge and the clerk.
The DJ was fired after a heated exchange on air with a call-in listener. The DJ was fired after a heated exchange on air with a call-in listener.
The organisation is dedicated to the free exchange of information.
The store's policy is not to allow returns or exchanges.
Most capital cities have extensive exchange facilities.
I'm here for 1 term on an exchange with Dr. Fisher. Kate's in New York on an employee exchange so she can get some more training.
We exchange gifts at Christmas.
At the end of the game, players traditionally exchange shirts with each other.
We exchanged phone numbers.
Where can I exchange my dollars for pounds?
He exchanged the black jacket for a blue one.
Until this evening, I had never so much as exchanged a word with him.
The 2 women exchanged glances and laughed. I went over and exchanged greetings with everyone.
It's a place where people can chat and exchange ideas.
Exchange rate.
Exchange rate.
A more favourable exchange rate.
Exchange rate mechanism.
Exchange rate mechanism.
Exchange student.
Exchange student.
An 18-year-old exchange student from France.
Exchequer.
Exchequer.
Excise.
Excise.
Excise duty on tobacco.
The tumour was excised.
Excitable.
Excitable.
A puppy is naturally affectionate and excitable.
Excite.
Excite.
His playing is technically brilliant, but it doesn't excite me.
The court case has excited a lot of public interest.
He tried not to do anything to excite the suspicion of the police.
The book excited every little comment.
Excited.
Excited.
Steve flies home tomorrow. We're all really excited.
Maria's starting to get pretty excited about the wedding.
We're all excited by the prospect of a party.
Michelle sounded excited to hear from him.
I'm so excited that we're going to New York.
The food was nothing to get excited about.
Excited crowds of shoppers.
There's no point getting excited about it. We can't change things.
People had gathered and were talking excitedly.
Excitement.
Excitement.
The excitement of becoming a parent.
The children were filled with excitement at the thought of visiting Disneyland. In all the excitement, I left my wallet behind. In his excitement, he couldn't remember her name.
We were both new to the excitements of life in the big city.
Exciting.
Exciting.
An exciting discovery.
Julia and Paul are getting married. Oh, how exciting! I've got some very exciting news for you. Let's do something exciting. Melanie finds her work exciting and rewarding.
Exciting job opportunities.
The most excitingly original movie of the year. Exclaim.
Exclaim.
No, she exclaimed in shock.
Exclamation.
Exclamation.
Horrified exclamations of disgust.
Exclamation mark.
Exclamation mark.
Exclude.
Exclude.
A special diet that excludes dairy products.
The judges decided to exclude evidence which had been unfairly obtained.
Some of the data was specifically excluded from the report.
A mainstream exhibition that excluded women artists.
The press had been deliberately excluded from the event.
Sarah heard the other girls talking and laughing and felt excluded.
Social workers have excluded sexual abuse as a reason for the child's disappearance. Social workers have excluded sexual abuse as a reason for the child's disappearance. Social workers have excluded sexual abuse as a reason for the child's disappearance.
At this stage, we cannot entirely exclude the possibility of staff cuts.
Excluding.
Excluding.
Television is watched in 97% of American homes, excluding Alaska and Hawaii. Television is watched in 97% of American homes, excluding Alaska and Hawaii.
Exclusion.
Exclusion.
The country's exclusion from the United Nations.
Your essays tend to concentrate on one theme to the exclusion of everything else.
You will be sent full details of the exclusions of your insurance policy.
Exclusionary business practices.
Exclusion zone.
Exclusion zone.
The military exclusion zone.